Welcome to Equipping Leaders, a podcast where I share and discuss resources, tools, and information to equip leaders to build creative, cohesive teams through culture and leader development. Welcome to the Equipping Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Natasha, and in today's solocast, I'm going to talk about the role of love in the leadership journey. I am a big supporter of the role that love plays in leadership. I once heard someone say that all leadership stories are love stories. You started on your journey because you were passionate about something. Leadership guru John Maxwell says, a great leader's courage to fulfill his vision comes from passion, not position. Many leaders have talked about the role of love in leadership, but it still remains a fringe concept. Why? If it is effective and it encourages people to be more authentic and care more about others, both in their workplace and outside of it, why do so few leaders seemingly use it as a strength and a method of communication and connection? When we think of love, we've been conditioned to think about it in terms of romantic love. We know we love our romantic partner and we love our family members. The people we work with? Nope. Love does not extend to them. We may like them, we may care about them, but we are not often compelled to call our feelings towards them love. The Greeks identified 4 different types of love. When we can identify those, we're more likely to be able to find how love plays a role in the workplace. Eros is the love that immediately springs to mind. It is romantic love that's fueled by desire. Philos is the love that we feel for our family members, and Storge is the love that we feel for our friends. Agape is the love that we choose. It's a matter of will and is sometimes called unconditional love. This is the love that can and should exist in the workplace. I hugely oversimplified these concepts, so I would encourage anyone who is interested to look more into these 4 types of love. But these definitions will work for us moving forward for this. Now, also before I continue, I want to delineate that love does not mean letting people get away with unprofessional or toxic behavior. It does not mean engaging in nepotism or cronyism. It is truly wanting people and the organization to be better and using connection, genuine connection, authentic connection to get that done. Joel Manby wrote a book called Love Works, and it was one of my favorite books that I read in 2021. And in it, he said, leadership is about the bottom line and loving the people you work with, making your community a better place, feeling a sense of satisfaction at the end of every day, and leading employees who can't imagine working anywhere else. I love this for so many reasons. First, it's about loving what you do, who you lead, and how it impacts the community or even the world. It highlights multiple facets about why love is so important. Another thing that I appreciate about this is that these are the ultimate goals of leadership. How we get to them can, and of course will, look different for all of us. I absolutely love all of the people that I work with, and I love them each for different reasons. I love how they show up, their authenticity, their willingness to try new things, their ability to listen and potentially have their minds changed. Now, have I also worked on teams where I can say it would have been impossible for me to conjure up any kind of love for them? Yes, absolutely. Did they not love me in return? Yes, absolutely. When I look back at that time, I realized that it was a really valuable lesson in challenging myself to still love and care for those around me, even when I did not perceive them as caring or contributing in any way. Joel Manby said, treating someone with love, regardless of how you feel about that person, is powerful. I appreciate this sentiment now more than ever, realizing that I choose to be a leader who shows up and leads with love, and no other person's behavior gets to change that. I'm still going to do the most loving thing in that situation because that's who I am. In Brené Brown's latest book, Atlas of the Heart, she talks about 87 emotions that allow us to fully experience what it means to be human. In the chapter titled, Places We Go When the Heart is Open, she discusses love and the connections, bonds, and commitments that come with it. Again, if we look at this through the lens of the workplace, we need these connections to each other, bonds with each other, and commitment to each other, not only to make a great team, but to ensure that quality work gets done. When we love our coworkers, our job, and our organization, we are so much more invested in it. How do we cultivate love in the workplace? I love how Brene Brown puts it. She said, "We cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known, and when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection." Love is not something that we give or get. It is something that we nurture and grow, a connection that can be cultivated between two people only when it exists within each one of them. We can love others only as much as we love ourselves. Shame, blame, disrespect, betrayal, and the withholding of affection damage the roots from which love grows. Love can survive these injuries only if they're acknowledged, healed, and rare. When I read that quote, I think, man, this love and leadership, that sounds like such a huge ask. And it is. So how do we actually do that and show this love in the workplace? So one, we make a genuine effort to get to know one another. There are simple ways that we do this: addressing people when we see them, acknowledging what is going on in their lives, and creating space for them to be who they are. If you're masquerading as someone who cares, people will know because they will sense whether or not you are genuine. Ask people real questions to get to know them, starting with more superficial questions until you've both gained and earned trust in one another. It's like the coaching concept of earning the right to advance. The first time you meet someone, especially when you have real or perceived authority in the relationship, it's not appropriate to ask people personal questions about their married life or their children. You can get to those questions, but most would not start there, and for good reason. Stephen Covey said, "We judge ourselves by our intentions, and we judge others by their actions." So the second thing we can do to demonstrate love and leadership is to remove this way of thinking and accept that all people are flawed and have bad days and make mistakes. And when we can acknowledge that, it creates psychological safety in the workplace. Accepting people and helping them build their skills and confidence is also a sign of love. You have to care about people to engage in this kind of effort. Third are courageous conversations. The phrase courageous conversations is a popular one right now, and I'm personally thrilled about this. We should be having courageous conversations. Not only does it demonstrate love and care for others, but it's a way to acknowledge that you want people to grow, that you value accountability, and that you're willing to sit down with your own discomfort to help someone else thrive. A courageous conversation is any conversation that's uncomfortable or difficult and is likely to bring up emotions for all the individuals in the conversation. In the future, I'll likely do an entire episode about courageous conversations, so I don't want to go too far into the eaches right now. However, courageous conversations are a way that we show others how much we genuinely care for them. So it is an important element of love in one's leadership. A fourth way that leaders show love in the workplace is by empowering people to lean into their strengths and passions. There are things that come up that have to be dealt with, but make sure that people are in their strengths and passions at least 80% of the time, if not more. This acknowledgement and effort towards making sure people are in their strengths is a way that leaders show love on a regular basis. You may be thinking, aren't these all things that a good leader would do? And the answer is absolutely yes. Because good leaders love the people that they lead. They take the time to get to know them, understand what they need to be successful, help them develop and grow in ways that are valuable to that individual team member, and make sure that they're recognized by the organization for their contributions. They lead with love regardless of the situation. Joel Manby also said, "Love works, not even in hard times, but especially in hard times." Think about how you can lead with love in your workplace and with your team. Thank you for listening to this episode of Equipping Leaders. This season, there is an associated blog for each podcast episode, which can be found on my website, natashacheyenne.com, under Leadership Journal. My website also features other leadership development content, such as frameworks, book recommendations, a weekly newsletter, and other downloadable content. You can also follow me on Instagram at novel_Natasha and on Twitter and Facebook at Natasha Cheyenne. Join me next week for another episode.